What's going on, ladies and gents? Jake, aka Countdown Ended, coming back to you once again, but this time I'm not alone. That's right, friends. We're here for the WrestleMania preview and prediction party, and I am being joined by the one, the only, formerly known as OKFabe, the current Connor Super Nerd, CM613. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my buddy, Connor.
Please hold your applause until the very. You weren't gonna applaud. It's fine. It's okay. Woo! It's all good. What is up? Back from the dead, the ashes, the Phoenix, as we have here later on. Spaz Phoenix.
You're stealing my gimmick.
I'm sorry. I can't help it. Yeah, this is fun. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while for numerous reasons.
It's very cathartic. It's desperately needed, and we are all in. That's right, my friends. Except, wait, that's the wrong show. You nailed it. That's right. And then you heard the other voice, my work husband, the peanut butter to my jelly, my brother from another mother. That would make it incest. Whatever. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Spaz Phoenix. What's going on, buddy?
I like it.
Oh, yeah. We're getting Spaz in the funky junkie. Gotta have the... Yeah.
Lots and lots of Mania content out there. We did the roundtable last week. I did my worst case scenarios pod last night while I was very tired. For anybody that wants to hear me be negative about WWE for once.
What?
And there's a lot to look forward to.
You negative?
I get accused of slobber knocking the WWE. So every now and then, where I can point out the shortcomings and keep it a little bit more even-handed is a good thing to do. I did the worst case scenarios video for WrestleMania 40 as well, so I figured do it up again this year because there's quite a few, as many as there are places for WWE to absolutely knock it out of the park this year. There's a lot of opportunities for them to fall into pits as well.
Yeah, they have the ability to flounder pretty quickly. So,
worst case scenario, are we talking like the stadium's gonna collapse, or like it's not gonna be a great show? Like there's a couple of levels here in terms of like worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Like WWE's at a point right now where everything's positive enough where we expect a great surprise. So if we get everything that's been advertised and don't get a surprise, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Like that kind of thing. I've still got. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Still got my notes. I may or may not refer to them while we're talking about this. So,
we could have meant that you were referring to like a WrestleMania 24 scenario where people are on fire because of falling pyro. Like there are other worst case scenarios. The dead man sticking to his word.
Could be that one elimination chamber where Dead Man set himself on fire.
Yeah, I still love that story because he's like, they told the pyrotechnics guys who leave the arena before he gets in the back, like you need to run away. Yeah.
Tager said something to the effect of like, he's like, Vince, I'm not telling you that like you need to do anything. He's like, but if that guy is fucking near me, I don't want to be like I will hurt him. I will physically hurt him.
Especially
on the spot.
Yeah, especially because Taker warned him to this previous twice now. He's like, you got a little close the first time. Oh, you're totally fine. And because they have the middle pyro.
It's pissed off about a fuck off. It's pissed off because like I warned you about this
multiple times. Happened. Yeah, because they would set off the fireball.
I prayed for this and it happened.
Yeah, exactly. They had that fireball in the middle that would go off after he walked down. And I always said that's so unnecessary and unneeded because it's so close. And literally like that next night he was up in flames and it was on news channels everywhere. That was the real viral.
I remember Jericho. So it was for the world title. I actually remember the match. It was him and Jericho. Jericho won the belt. And that's the one where they basically spurned off and did Shawn Taker 2 at WrestleMania.
Yep.
But Jericho said like in an interview, he's like, I felt terrible because here he is like clearly burned. And I am like, I gotta put the walls of Jericho on you. I'm so sorry. Like I'm doing all these things.
Yeah.
I'm chopping him. He's like, I gotta. And then, but like he's like, luckily Taker, like he got it. It wasn't like it's not.
Well, yeah. Jericho in the sense of like he was in the match.
The show must go on.
He tore both his quads, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So he's 0 for 2 on that.
Might as well have been Kevin Nash.
Exactly.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to so this WrestleMania. Back to the matter at hand. I got a lot of mixed feelings about this Mania, just in terms of in general.
I do as well. This really felt like it was going to be the biggest, field goal, home run, whatever you want to call sports analogy. You know, they were getting the extra point. This Mania was just gonna be it. They had everything locked.
Yeah,
What
Basement and I, shout
happened?
out to Basement over at the Horny Goat channel. Basement and I kind of in the same boat where it's like right before, I'd say like right around December, like not quite the Rumble, but like going into Rumble season, we were
Yeah.
like, man, they have the potential to really they have a chance to outdo 40, and 40 was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It has its flaws, but it was pretty damn good. And
the problem with 40 is it had the initial exam, and this is not an excuse by any stretch, but like on anniversary versions of a pay-per-view, they do a little like on the 5s, on the 10s,
yeah, no,
etc.
I agree with you on that one. But
Where
I also
you're
think,
coming down from that to like, okay, this is like an in-between. It's not an excuse, but you can't say, hey, make the 10s special, and then, and I'm not saying you're doing this, like immediately come back and be like, oh, this doesn't feel like a 10.
Yeah,
like,
no.
there is a contradictory bit of the conversation happening, because you can't do a Cody finishes the story every year.
So I do agree with you to some extent on that. And I don't disagree with what you're saying in terms of like elevating the status of those anniversary ones. Here's the thing with 40. 40, I will say, in my opinion, is a tad bit overblown. Is it a good WrestleMania? Absolutely. Is it one of the greats? I teeter back and forth on it, because here's the thing with it. It was also the significant, like, this is your crowning moment of Vince is gone. Here is your flagship, like, starting line. This is the grand parade of, like, ding dong, the king is dead, witch old witch, the wicked witch, Vince. That was like the defining statement to me. 40 was like, this is it, new era. You talk about it, here we go. Doors are wide open.
But I will say, Connor, that analogy goes both ways. You could have people go in. It can go in there and say, "Well, big bad evil scary Vince is gone, so anything that comes now, we have to love it." Or you can have Triple H. You said forever that when you ran NXT, it was better than the main roster, and it was for large portions. Let's be real for a second. We're going to scrutinize it more than we would have with a Vince. Like those mindsets with Vince is gone, Triple H is in. They went both ways. Some of them gave him a pass because he's not Vince, and somebody said, okay, it might be worthy of more criticism because it's not Vince.
No, and I'm not. You're gonna get criticizers. Hi, everybody, out there. No matter what you do or say or whatnot, and there's gonna be people that are gonna like and dislike it, and that's totally fine. And I to each their own. But my point being is that, like, 40, to your point too, hard following act. Like, that is a tough one, but. Around December, me and Basement both felt that, like, man, if things are going the way we think they're going, they have the potential to maybe not outdo 40, but get really, really close as far as a stacked card that we care about that actually feels like a WrestleMania, and, well, doesn't quite feel like it. You know what it actually feels like to me, and this might be a very broad analogy here, it feels a lot like WrestleMania 18.
Okay.
I was there.
Yeah. Because WrestleMania 18 had great moments, but if you look back for matches, they're not all up to what memory has.
But it also came off of WrestleMania 17, which is what a lot of people holds up as the biggest WrestleMania.
Yeah, so
not the biggest, but the best WrestleMania of all time.
And then you're coming into 40, which is again held in such high regards. Absolutely, and like Liz had said in the chat,
and then people wave off 18 as it was another one that happened, and I'm like, you had Hogan and Rock at that. I was gonna say,
you may not have a Rock Hogan match at 41. You could argue it could be Cody and Cena, or the triple threat, depending on how you look at it. But the point is that to me, 41 feels a lot like 18, where, like, you just basically checked all the boxes off. 40 feels a lot like 17. You have, like, a hollow Mania. There's still some matches there, and, like, the top 3 matches for Mania 18 was Triple H, Jericho, Hogan, and Rock, and you could argue either Taker, Flair, or Austin Hall.
Yeah. And so the thing about 40 as well, they had some really great stories that wasn't just the bloodline. The bloodline was this incredible overarching narrative that encapsulated everything that we cared about at that point in time. You know, long-term storytelling, you were finishing a plot, there was multiple threads and people involved, there was tons of layers, everybody had something to do, like there was great moments and things for it. Problem being is that people only tend to remember the Avengers Assemble moment, but you had Sami Zayn going against Gunther, who was on the biggest run with the IC title. And years previous, Sami Zayn was kind of a joke, even though that jackass match with Knoxville was great. But you figured that's the spot he was in. Absolutely. And then you go into, well, he headlines Mania with Kevin Owens the following year or year after, whichever it was. You know, we had things build. We had that really great opening with Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. I loved that opening match and the entrances for both.
When you find out that both of them were sick as dogs that day.
Yeah, one having an anxiety attack, ready to die. The other one just literally sick. It was a great story because I love like Becky Lynch coming out to the words of her book that she put out, and it's on her dress. It was awesome.
And then Ripley got to come out to Motionless in White,
mm-hmm.
which is not a group I'm familiar with, but like a live presentation's always going to win for me.
Well, she said that helped her escape the moment, and just because she looked into the singer's eyes, and and she was like, I just used him to focus myself, and he took me back into the this is Mania, enjoy it. You look at Drew winning the title and then getting cashed in on. Like, there was a lot in 40 that stand out. Even though Punk was injured, he played a major role there, and that set up to eventually be one of the feuds of the entire year.
That's the thing about WrestleMania for me, that like, whether you liked it, whether you hated it, Bloodline, kind of loomed over everything. And you had that whole, I won't say the match because I don't remember much about the match, if I'm completely honest with you, but the entire segment, if you want to put it that way, of Rollins versus Drew. Rollins takes a powder because he's got to go get himself fixed up, which is why he sort of passes on the thing to Drew.
And that's after getting his ass kicked the night before. And the story there being, hey, you're not focused on the title, you're focused on helping Cody. So, and that was his comeuppance. So
I was trying to make an outside the bloodline.
Yes, but that's
it all carries over. But to go from that to Drew, even though Drew just won the title, he's more obsessed with the guy on commentary than he is in the ring, and that obsession leaves him totally blind to the cash-in. I think, depending on who you talk to and depending on where their biases lie, I think that opening segment of night 2 in time will measure up to the main event.
Absolutely. And the thing of it there, like we said, there was many different points of interest, and there was something for everybody. And this year, like, I feel like a great Mania not only ends and caps off stories, but it sets up new ones as well. And 40 did that in spades. We had new champions, we had stories ending, but new journeys beginning. And then from night 1 after, I feel like they started on this story that kind of muddied the waters and essentially not fucked things, but did trouble it. You had still unresolved of what did The Rock put into Cody's hand. We had that almost hour-long intro the next night of Cody being congratulated, Triple H there, everybody getting their flowers, and then him and The Rock had that strange let's trade titles promo and stuff. So you thought it was setting up him and Rock at the next Mania maybe, or what? I'm not complaining with what we got, but it took so long to get Cena to reply and get that heel turn in, we got him to turn, but why? Then we had to delay 2 weeks. And I think one of the biggest issues this year was dual-sided, essentially. Being overseas is not a bad thing, but the timing of being right before Mania, also adding in the extra length till Mania, things felt slow to progress. And instead of knowing the card and then building on it, we're still not even fully finalized a week out. We still have possibly 1 or 2 matches to be added and confirmed. So
I don't think we have any more matches to add. I mean, maybe you and I are going to talk about Stand and Deliver another day. There's a couple more things to shear up there, but it's NXT. That's a little more forgivable. I think the only things that would have been specified, this is a huge thing that I hit on my worst case scenarios thing last night. What we do have confirmed is that the women's US title, the women's IC title, and the SmackDown tag titles
yes,
are
those
not
three
being defended on WrestleMania because the IC title holder is in a tag match. The tag team titles for SmackDown are being defended on SmackDown, and the US women's title is in a 3-on-3 match on SmackDown, unless that leads to a last-minute addition of Zelina Vega. I like the sudden kind of out-of-nowhere push of Zelina Vega.
I do as well. It works.
It looks like she's grabbing it by the horns. So if they do a fuck finish on Friday and Aldis says, fuck it, you get a second shot at the title on Mania tomorrow night, enjoy, go make the best of it. It will be fast. It will be sort of out of nowhere booking, and we know how bad out of nowhere booking is.
Absolutely.
But it's one of those ones where they could do it and get a pass.
They could. They certainly could. But do they need to get a pass? Is the thing. I mean, there's so many different angles here that should. Like,
I just mean there's a lot more things on the show that I'm not going to be as forgiving about.
Exactly. And no, I totally agree with you there. But like, there should have been more overall, I want to say, more given to us. I don't know why every belt isn't being defended right off the bat. It should absolutely, as many people have reached out and said, it should be like Night of Champions. Everyone going forward should be defending every belt. If you're going for a tag title on night 1, then night 2 you should be defending your belt. Like they can do it that way because of the 2-night 2, that you can have people wrestle multiple times if need be.
I'd even be fine with them doing like pre-show shit, honestly. Like
absolutely.
Even, the argument of like, oh, there's no room on the main cards. Like, yeah, fine, okay, we get it. There's a shit ton of titles right now. I wouldn't care if the women's tag titles are the US or the WWE tag titles. Hey, it actually gives you a reason to want to watch the pre-show.
Exactly.
The problem with that is, and it's been a slowly developing problem over the past couple of Manias, with the 2-night format, with, it's not just WrestleMania night, it's WrestleMania weekend. I genuinely think WWE looks at that SmackDown as the kickoff.
You're not wrong, because they've done the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal a couple of times.
They're doing it again.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean,
they're doing it on SmackDown,
Yeah. So,
but I have a problem with it though, because like, I don't know, you don't want to have that stigma of, oh, they were pushed to the kickoff, right? So you want to maybe, like, do you want to be on the kickoff on the pay-per-view, or do you want to be in the main event of SmackDown? Okay, the people that are performing on SmackDown don't get to walk into the stadium. They don't get the stadium pop. They don't get to walk down the WrestleMania ramp.
Yeah.
The people on the kickoff are more a part of WrestleMania than the WrestleMania SmackDown.
We always said, like, oh, the kickoff show should just be the start of Mania, which it should be. But I like the idea of having a few matches for a kickoff. That was never, it was when they had, like, this crazy 7-match card on the pre-show with, like, the cruiserweights and the tags, and it got to be a bit much. They had, like, a 2-hour block.
I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but Austin Aries took that on his shoulders when he was the cruiserweight champion.
Yeah, like, him and Buddy Murphy.
If you're gonna shove me on the kickoff, I'm gonna make your kickoff the thing to watch.
And that was an incredible show.
People took that mentality and carried it and whatever. And yeah, there is still a thing to say of like, okay, there's a downgraded level to it. But then again, from a motivational point of view, it's like, okay, if you think you're in a downgrade, push, climb, grab the ring, whatever shitty cliche we want to use. And it's like, here you are. Like, here's not being on the show. Here's the kickoff. Here's the show. Nudge yourself up.
Yeah.
Nudge somebody else down if you have to. Not in a combative sense, but nudge somebody else down. You want to be where so-and-so is? Outshine them tonight. And we'll see you next month or whatever. And I will say, I've caveated a lot of this year's WrestleMania with this, and it's probably me being way too nice. Whatever big bombastic thing you think you're not getting at WrestleMania this year, remember that they are doing the first 2-night SummerSlam this year. They are trying to turn SummerSlam into WrestleMania .5. So
they're gonna do it with all the big ones. They're eventually gonna do it with Money in the Bank. They'll eventually do it with Rumble. Maybe they'll do it for Survivor Series. But
I don't think they'll do. I don't think they'll do it with Money in the Bank because I think it's like the dark horse of the Big Five. It's sort of taken the King of the Ring spot in the Big Five. It's the dark horse. The one that makes the most sense, and I'm sorry, it makes more sense than WrestleMania, is the Royal Rumble.
I agree.
No, I agree entirely.
2 matches in a Rumble each night. Like, I'm surprised it wasn't obviously, if it's big, it's going to be the Rumble first. But even knowing that, it's still surprising to me that they didn't try it with the Rumble.
Well, because Montana Zombie in the chat said fans are going to be wiped halfway through again because, like Liz mentioned, it's a 3-hour pre-show, and Triple H thinking more is better. In this regard, I don't think so because you're not having kickoff matches. You're not. What are you doing for 3 hours besides just recap and playing packages?
You know, it'll be concerning with the booking if they do a 2-night Royal Rumble and they book both Royal Rumbles on the same night.
Yeah, that would be.
Well, I always said to get the fullest extent of your rosters, because there's it's not always true, but you get this mentality of, oh, if somebody actually has a match on the Royal Rumble card, then they may not necessarily be in the Rumble. So swap them out. And I know, like, I'm not trying to turn it into a gender thing, but have one night be the guys' Rumble and a few female matches, have the other night be the girls' Rumble and a few male matches.
Exactly.
So there's literally no indicator of who's showing up in what Rumble.
Plus
set a new precedent.
That also helps you create more excitement around the idea of if you win the match, you get into the Rumble the next night.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay, but you can only do that one way. You can't have the winners on the second night get the first night.
Granted, but you can do it and make it a big deal for one of the Rumbles, and you can alternate in years too. I feel like they have a problem being willing to alternate. It seems like they're not always straightforward willing to just go ahead and be like, hey, this is what's happening. This is, we could do the guys next year as the main event and the girls this year as the main event. And I know that gets worrisome too, sure. but there are seemingly ways to bounce things around.
Yeah, and I've seen other people take it a different direction where do a guys' rumble at the beginning of the year leading into Mania and like a ladies' rumble in the middle of the year leading to SummerSlam. I don't like that as much because as much as they're trying to elevate SummerSlam, you've still got like pay-per-view 1 and pay-per-view 2. And if you ever make the ladies' rumble to SummerSlam instead, it's going to get called a downgrade by somebody.
I mean, again, there's going to be no one can book a perfect show.
No, of course not.
It's physically impossible. There's no way you're gonna get critique and criticism somewhere down the pipeline. But yeah, I definitely think that I think Rumble makes a lot more sense to do 2 nights. Again, I'm just still laughing at the idea of like, oh, here we are, night 2 of the Royal Rumble, and both Royal Rumbles have already happened. Wait, when's the Rumble?
Yeah.
And I will say as well to Montana Zombie's point, like I get the whole like more isn't always better, but I am going to double and I mean as far as the actual card where the actual matches are, the kickoffs being 3 hours can fuck off. WrestleMania itself is the one example because they've shortened up all the pay-per-views since Triple H took over. He's basically done the takeover template, right? Because he's done that so much, and it's always left me a bit wanting. Even the pay-per-views that have been fantastic. Of all times where you can just say, let's do as much as we can, I'm sorry, WrestleMania needs to be that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because the people that want short shows are going to be the same ones that are super critical of what gets edited out. 9 times. And I say, not aiming this specifically at Montana Zombie in the chat, but overall, if I scan the conversations that I have, if I scan the conversations that I see on socials, it's the same people demanding X, Y, and Z person get a match that are also saying the pay-per-views are too long, and I'm like, you can't have it both ways.
But by the way, and I'm just catching people up to speed here because we haven't hung out collectively, the 3 of us, in God knows how long talking wrestling, so I have to catch people up to speed on my thoughts sometimes. I will be just very upfront and say when it comes to talking about like WrestleMania itself, and honestly this era in general, I am 1000% more lenient on errors, issues, and mistakes and like flubs because of just the fact of, hey, they're trying something different, they're trying something new, and this is even far more superior than what we had from the previous regime as far as like the creative and stuff. So like even stuff that I like may critique and say like, wow, that was like I think Jay and Jimmy's match at Mania last year is a great example. Was it a great match? No. They even acknowledge it, but it's like, all right, they tried it, cool, moving on.
They got hit for time, and then from there it
is one of those
just
things that also,
turned
I think,
unfortunate.
isn't as bad as some people say. Like, did it require more story than in-ring? Yes. But a lot of what came out of the Bloodline storyline was like that. And, like, people pretending that, like, oh, everything else was 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome, and then Jimmy and Jay went out there and took a shit in the ring is a little disingenuous as well.
Exactly.
On this card, like Connor mentions, like, okay, nothing can be perfect. And it's like, okay, so I sort of start picking and choosing like where I need them to be a little bit more perfect and where I don't, which is where I get into the conversation of, this is a little bit lighter. It might not go the way I want. It's going to get a free pass from me. I'd still like to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be I'll when we get to it, but like the triple threat, Seth, Roman, and Punk. I have a lot of say when we get to that match, but like that's one where like that would not have been my choice for Mania, but
no.
I get why they did that, and I know they're gonna crush it. That match is gonna be insane, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Anyway,
well, the one match
no
that
doubt.
I wanted, we sacrificed the one match that I want to see for my own petty fuck AEW reasons. But out of that, we've got 2 other matches that I'm interested in.
Is it Punk versus Real Glass?
No, it's Punk versus Cody because you know Cracky Khan could have had that.
That's still coming.
Oh yeah,
we're definitely getting some type of nod, and I still love obviously Cena. That's got to be the best line the entire build with him saying as he did,
I build empires for rich guys, and you
we can't give that credit enough. That is so perfectly poetic and just. Like it's not a burn for any other sake but reality and fact. I mean, he basically, Cody helped build the company, but what did he do over there? So, it's like, hey, here's the point.
Thank God we're going to see him one more time before Mania. Thank Christ.
Thank God. That was a huge worry. We brought that up. Cody, unfortunately, couldn't be here today. He had to do some family things for Easter, but that was his big concern. Absolutely, and he's got to get pumped up and keep that pec going. But he's upset as well that this was kind of all we got from Cena and Cody. I really thought we were going to get something with them and The Rock, or maybe Friday. Maybe we'll be patient and we'll see him and The Rock. But the fact that The Rock has barely been mentioned all but once, and that was so pivotal for this angle. Like The Rock was the whole reason Cena turned. I mean, that was that was the turning point. Without The Rock, Cena just won. He was going to face Cody. It wasn't until The Rock got into Cena's head and really made him change. But why? What does he get out of it? What does he get that we haven't? I tried to throw in some logic before saying like, oh, well, John had to film the movie the entire time and he knew he wasn't going to be able to have a match to qualify for the Chamber. So he told The Rock, I need to win that title. I need to go to Mania. What can you do for me? And he's like, don't worry, I'll get you qualified. Something like that. Anything at this point. I mean, he could say, why not just put him in Mania? But
I'll tell you something, man. And I've always been a fan of The Rock. I defended it last year when people said he was too involved and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm at the point right now. I've not stopped being a fan of The Rock, but as far as this story goes, for the simple fact of we're getting Cody versus Cena, which is like a generational match, whatever the case may be, and we're getting heel Cena, whatever form that ultimately ends up taking.
Yeah.
I'm at even though The Rock was the stimulus for that, I'm getting to the point now where they've gone past that I don't know, but I don't care what The Rock does.
Yeah, I'm saying they've gone past. Yeah,
I still care about Cody and Cena on the night.
Granted,
I said this the last time we all got together. I was there for Chamber. They put the Chamber in the dome. I lost my shit watching that heel turn happen live. And I'm like,
you witnessed history. Awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah, this was awesome on the night. Cena Cody is going to be awesome on the night. And it was one of those, I don't want to say, like, they didn't have to do anything. I'll just watch it on the night. But kind of, they didn't have to do anything. I'll just watch it on the night. Because as far as storyline investment, it's a 2.5-month build?
Yeah.
Whereas just about everything else on this card has been building for like 10 times as long.
That or some things have been thrown together.
I'm not shrugging off the match, but I am pushing it to the one side in the case of like when it's happening in front of me, I'll be excited, and I don't need to be excited right now because there's other stuff on here that's drawing me to the card a whole lot more.
Yeah.
I don't know if we had any order or format to this.
No, we're kind of just bullshitting, and we'll get into predictions in a minute. Yeah.
Well, we're already here on the Cody Cena match. I was like, might as well fucking.
Yeah, I think you might as well just
Cena's winning.
I think Cena has to win. Yeah.
There's no other way. Like, so okay, to kind of back up to the build right now. The build has been very awkward for me, but I will say is that the last time Cody and Cena were in the ring, I felt like finally we are on to like first gear here. Finally, now we're getting some good stuff here. And not that Cena's promos before weren't good. They were just off-putting. It was like Cena hated the fans. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a great setup. It's a great, like, okay, I see it. Okay, where are we going with this? I hate you fans. Okay, we got that. You hate us.
We got that already, yeah.
Can you tell us what else? You guys are so hypocritical. Sure.
Okay.
Can we? I think we've received that message. What else we got?
Yeah.
And he hinted a little too long on that. But then the last time that Cody and Cena were in the ring, where like Cena started going after Cody verbally, I'm like, okay, now I'm getting some more. I don't even give a shit about The Rock. I could not care less. Rock to me, I think what happened honestly was that the plan penciled in was Rock Roman, and then when Rock Roman didn't happen and wasn't able to happen for Mania, this is what we got instead.
It feels that way, yeah.
That's the way I feel.
Rock Roman, we would have had another round of.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Which I wouldn't mind, but I wouldn't be able to defend it either.
Yeah, but
certainly not. No.
But with Cody and Cena, it's just like it is very like to Jake's point. Like, what did The Rock say? Why does this like what did he tell his soul? Like, is Cena going to be in the new Fast and Furious together with Rock? Are they going to be holding hands? What is the story here?
Yeah, what are we getting? That's
and see, I'm on the opposite end of the coin of I don't care what the story is. My reasoning, going back to the pod I did last night, you have to go with Cena because Cody's the boring answer.
Well, not
if
just
Cody
that.
if Cody wins,
yeah, where do you go?
It's just business as usual, and we kept going.
Yeah.
If Cena wins, there's stuff to talk about.
exactly.
Heel Cena as champion. There's heel Cena as champion. There's Cena's going to be a part-timer. We're going to have the Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns conversations about John Cena. We're going to have to draw the parallel between Cena now doing what CM Punk did at Cena's expense at, what was it, Money in the Bank 2011 in Chicago, which is going to lead to a CM Punk confrontation, which is going to lead to a Roman Reigns conversation, which is going to lead to a Seth Rollins conversation. There's 20,000 conversations that come out of John Cena winning.
Yeah.
And even though everybody loves Cody and he's the guy, Cody wins, it's business as usual, and everybody goes, "Oh, okay."
I agree with you.
You don't want night 2 of WrestleMania to end with a "Oh, okay."
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think I agree with you. Cena winning opens up a shit ton more doors. It creates an interesting narrative. You have to tune in to see what's gonna how are they. It's his last year. He has to lose the title, right? Like, you know, obviously we all know he's going to, but like, it's that like natural drive of like, well, how's this going to play out? And the door's wide open for them creatively to an extent to do what they want. You know, you're going to get your Cena Punk match. You know, you're going to get your Cena Orton match. You're probably going to get your Cena Roman match.
Yeah.
You get a few others. Personal note here, I really, really, really hope they do a Cena Drew program. I really want to see that more than anything. I want to see that probably more than, like, respectively, out of all the other ones. The one I want to see the most is Cena Drew. That's the big one. But anyway.
Okay.
So
I know a lot of people want to see Cena Gunther, but there's a lot of tricky storytelling you got to do to get there.
I think mixed feelings about Gunther now.
You and me both, and
not necessarily saying that Gunther's still going to be champion. I've said. I don't know whether I said it with Jake or whether I said it on one of my own pods.
I don't know where we said things anymore. That's the problem. We're doing too much.
Where I think there's an interesting story beat to be had, because last year at this time they teased Cody Punk.
Yes.
This year, going into the Rumble, they teased Cody Punk. So it's a story that's hanging in the air. You could have CM Punk and everybody's like, oh, you know, Cena's his old rival. Of course he's going to go back and fight his old rival. He wants that championship. And to have Punk come out and do something to get in Cody's face, and be like, go get your fucking belt back so that we can give these people the match they want. is a better story to tell, I think.
It would be good because as much as I would love, in a way, to see like heel Cena and heel Punk, could you? Oof, that would be nuts. But I don't see them biting on both at the same time.
You don't need to.
No, you
don't
certainly
need to.
don't need to. It's a fantasy thing. It's not logical, but I think that's the problem with a lot of people here that they don't realize is that a lot of it comes down to fantasy booking, not logical storytelling. And that's why I had an issue with the next match. We started off on night 2 with the main event. We're all in agreement that it seems like Cena wins. But for the next match, we have the Women's World Championship. I have personally despised this build.
Hold on. Unless I get what I want, and I know most people, is we get to reveal the last little tiny bit of the favor was an added stipulation to the triple threat that says, you know, the winner of the triple threat is the new #1 contender. Punk wins on night 1. There's my spoiler for that prediction.
Yeah.
And Punk comes out and does like as far as WrestleMania terms go, does a Hogan. And basically says, yeah,
I'll take it.
Cody, Cena, you might have won the belt, but you're not leaving with the title.
That would be nuts, but
that would be the closest to an unpredictable thing to Rollins, Roman, Lesnar heist of the century.
Yeah. Because that's WrestleMania 9 as well, all over again. You know, Brad loses, and then you got Hogan coming out and being like, well, I can't let you leave with the belt. Da-da. So
for all the logic and all the fantasy booking we have about this makes sense. It has to go here. It has to go. I also feel specifically in this WrestleMania that we are overdue for something completely. Where the fuck did that come from?
Oh, I hope so. Because that's been my little, quotable moments. I've said the words foregone conclusion a lot this year. But last year when we had the Mania card, a lot of the matches didn't seem like you knew what was going to happen. As much as we thought Cody was going to end the story.
It wasn't a bad thing.
Exactly.
Like you knew Cody was winning, but that wasn't the...
But was he? There was a little bit of doubt. I mean, you pretty much knew he'd win, but think about it. People thought he was winning at 39. He lost. Like, yeah, it made sense, but they still worked enough.
If you spend an entire year building to it twice,
yeah,
I couldn't defend that.
But no, I'm just saying though, the point was like they tried their best to present it as anything can happen anyways. So, they really stacked the deck with Roman winning the night before with the tribal rules match.
Turned into the Undertaker.
I know. I wish that's my only little gripe with that. I wish it was Austin instead of Taker because Taker really makes I know they want to like, oh, he's the sheriff of WWE, but it just didn't.
It was supposed to be Austin.
Yeah.
But I think the surprise moment or the big like shock, like where the F did that come from, is kind of a little too predictable. I think it's the triple threat. Seth, Roman, and Punk.
Yeah.
It's going to be Rollins.
I think Rollins is winning.
See,
Rollins is walking out with Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree completely with Spaz. I think it's Seth walking out of there with Heyman because respectfully, you slice it any other way. It's to me, it's business as usual. Roman wins, it's business as usual. Punk wins, it's unless the only way you do it with Punk winning is if Punk wins by pinning Seth.
And then him and Roman can still face, maybe. But I agree with you there because that's one of those ones where like, yeah, okay, because what Roman does not need the win, nor should he win.
Nope.
Punk already beat Seth.
And he beat Drew from his rivalry last year. So
and he hasn't gotten a title shot. So essentially Punk could head into the title shot picture after that. But Seth leaving with Roman or leaving with Paul Heyman. Initially, you called this, Spaz. You said it a while back. You're like, I could see this happening. And then the way they set it up last week, all but certainly seems like that's where they're going with. Now the stomp.
The only way you get Paul Heyman actually putting some bass in his voice to talk to an opponent like he spoke to Seth Rollins is if it's an act.
Yeah. Because I don't imagine him being not afraid of Seth.
The problem I have with it is as much as I will advocate for Rollins a lot, like Heyman probably will, that he deserves a lot more credit than he gets. Oh, he's just like a 1B player, like he's not quite Roman, he's not quite this, he's not quite that. There's a lot of criticism going into this year that says, you know, this is really a Punk Roman match with Seth Rollins thrown in. I'm like, come on, guys, it's not like he's Bianca Belair. Let's not do that. But I think people see him as such the crowbarred in person. The other example I used the other night was people are speaking so down about it that like they're treating him like the Miz between Cena and The Rock, which I don't think is valid either.
I don't think that's valid
No, that's
anywhere
not-
near it.
that's not-
I
that's-
don't think it's valid at all. But I do see
There's no
that
water to that.
mentality
Yeah.
enough. Like he's just sort of sitting in the background, which is why the surprise will work.
Yeah.
But I think
Because people aren't
on the
expecting him.
night-
They're underestimating, you know, the Kingslayer.
But I
So
think
the-
if people carry that opinion of Seth in general, I think you have the possibility of a wet fart response. And
No,
with Roman, as you say, there's two sides to it. A, it's business as usual. Roman wins another match, and B, even myself, who appreciates what Roman has done, my thought is going to be, okay, he's going to do nothing with that momentum because he's going to go away again. I'm a Punk guy. I'm unabashedly a Punk guy. I want Punk to win. I think CM Punk deserves to win, and more importantly, I think CM Punk deserves to be the one, at least in the conversation, of saving that belt from heel John Cena. But I think the bigger worry is how divided people are on Seth, and the fact that you're gambling with a wet response if it's him. I swing towards Punk.
I don't know. And the thing of it is that the fans have been kind of conditioned to subtly hate Seth. If you think about it, right, like Seth is in my opinion, Seth has been portrayed as a tweener. Depending on who he's feeding, he's either babyface or heel, and that's a huge advantage for him to be one of the big cornerstones of the company. But if you really look back at some of his verbal interactions with some of the bigger baby faces, and I point to Sami Zayn specifically, you can tell that there's still genuine heel animosity for, like, you know, certain characters and whatnot, whether and that goes into the area of, like, you know, making, you know, gray, you can see things from different perspective. But the point is, they've been pushing certain dialogue and certain responses from Seth to almost like subtly condition to you to know that he's coming to be a heel.
Yeah.
He's not either. With this push with Heyman, that's going to make him a full heel. But my only worry with this is that, based off of the way Seth said, like, now you owe me a favor, it worries me that it's going to turn Paul Heyman into a fucking title, where it's like you're gonna have to wrestle for the services of Heyman and
Paul
Freeman.
Heyman whole match.
Pretty much.
Basically, I'm not
Minus Viagra and Judy Bagwell, that's close enough. I can see that too, where it's like, oh, we're fighting for Paul, and that can get messy, and
if Paul
I don't have much
here's
interest
the thing
in
about
that.
What Conor's saying, and he's bringing up a good point. Although I see they have tried to clear up Rollins's tweenerisms, if that's a word, by being a dickhead to certain people, right?
Yes.
Yep.
The problem with that is they've gotten so so good at storytelling and making things not so black and white, making characters, you know, three-dimensional and whatever. Yeah, we don't want to see Rollins go and tell off Sami Zayn, but at the same time, the things he's telling off Sami Zayn for are entirely understandable.
Yes, it's
No,
true, and
you don't necessarily want to see him go tell off CM Punk, but CM Punk is such a divisive character that telling off CM Punk is going to get you a boo and a cheer anyway.
Yeah.
You're literally
So
putting
the more
your
they-
three tweeners in a match.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, for sure. There's no. I'll go to Jake's theory on this. They have never really solidified the face turn of Roman Reigns, but
Correct.
he's face in everything but name because the crowd
Right.
loves him.
Yeah.
Because the alternative for a while was Solo Sikoa.
Yep.
And do we need to go there?
No.
Yeah. So
Talk about somebody they failed. Solo, Jesus.
But
Well,
yeah,
they brought in Jacob, and Solo knew his cards were marked.
Yep.
They're in Vegas marking
I love
the
you,
cards.
Solo. I love you, Solo.
Counting cards.
But, maybe hold on. I wonder if I can play around with the soundboard on here and get the "I love you." So, oh yeah, I can.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm thinking out loud here.
You got to add to it. Brain fart, or did I just lose you? Did we lose everybody on Discord, or no? We good?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
There we go. Maybe we just lost Connor for a second, but yeah, I'm in agreement with you. You laid it out in such a way initially that it was perfect. It really was, and they or perfect in the sense of like that's the best story they could tell. I think the most interesting one. They go ahead and they have Rollins leave with Heyman that night, but he doesn't have Heyman's services going forward. It's just one favor. I think that might be more of it. But
I can hear you.
I can hear you loud and clear.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Well, that's wonderful. I can't hear Connor, though. So we'll make it work. Zero kayfabe. I don't know if something happened, but we'll fix it in the meantime. But yeah, I really going back and forth with Seth and everything that we had. It seems like Seth's gonna win. It's more like, hey, what are we doing with Seth going forward? This will solidify him as a full heel, and I think that might be the best way to handle it. So,
Hi.
Can you hear me still?
I can hear you. I can hear Connor.
I can't hear Connor. That's weird. All right, hold on. Let's mess with this for a second then.
Okay, Jake, he said he's gonna hang up and call back.
Okay.
Can you hear him now?
I can't, but it's weird. How about now? There we go. I got it.
Hey.
I knew something was wrong. It muted you on my end. Somehow.
Was they put on timeout?
I don't know what happened. My soundboard apparently doesn't like you, and when it went to...
Nobody needs to hear me anyway.
There we go. Nothing like live tech, but...
No, Seth winning to me makes the most sense, and like I said, Heyman leaving willingly would be the only way it would work. Sorry, Heyman leaving willingly would be the only thing that would absolve me of the worry of them passing around like a fucking Jew on a pole match or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It just because I don't want to see that. I don't want to see like Roman's but then it also leaves the door open for Roman and Punk to start going off on their own and be like, hey, this is all your fault. No, this is your fault. This is your da, 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 and they blame each other.
Yeah.
For the loss and then off to the races.
Yeah, and then they can have that feud too.
I'm glad you're feeling better, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Sith Negan. He had some dental work done too, poor guy. So he's a bit sore in the mouth. And actually, you know what? No time like the present. Terrible that I wanted to start the stream with it, and I totally forgot with some of the tech issues. But I mentioned it briefly the other day. I'll bring it up quickly now. I don't want to kill the whole mood, but I did want to say a good rest in peace to Kev Castle. You know, he and Don Tony are the originators of YouTube wrestling podcasting. I was listening to him back in like 2009. Before, you know, that I was listening to him before JD even started, you know, Call of Duty content, before Joe was ever live for SummerSlam. There was the, you know, Don Tony and Kevin Castle and
TV tracks.
Yeah, and it's just it was heartbreaking to hear, and I know it's silly to say like, oh, right before WrestleMania, but of all things, like he was so excited. He's been looking forward to Cross's build. Like it feels like things are happening, and he's not here for it. So it's a bittersweet, you know, pill to swallow. Hopefully his family and friends can find solace in knowing that, you know, he's obviously in a better place, but he left a hell of a legacy. He is greatly missed and revered like no other. Not a bad word to be said about him. Everyone is heartbroken, and like I said, thoughts and prayers with everyone that needs it at this point. And you will be missed, Kevin. So this is WrestleMania is for you.
For sure. I don't want to speak out of content that I was particularly familiar with, but people that I am familiar with have told me nothing but positive things. And I mean, beyond the content game, you know, you don't want to lose anybody.
No,
it's
certainly.
a human thing as well.
Absolutely.
But you did bring up Karrion Kross there, and I'm going to throw this out there kind of as like a side topic. Karrion Kross has to do something at WrestleMania, right? Like he's going to get involved in something.
I'd like to hope so. I just don't see it happening. It would be great, and there's certain spots where he would fit in that would work. Believe it or not, I think he would be good if he injects himself in the U.S. title picture. Then he can feud with LA Knight, cost him the belt maybe. You know, Jacob doesn't necessarily need that for the win, but you can do it. You know, there's a lot of little things, but for the most part, you've seen him
in the Logan and AJ.
I definitely.
I think that's the one for him to make his name in.
Yeah, that's the one, because if Logan goes away for a while, if Logan, I just for the jump around, I think Logan's gonna win at Mania. So I think Logan gets the win at Mania.
Yes.
AJ then turns his focus on Carrion and then off to the races.
That was my other thought, because if with everything that he's done, I mean, we've seen him attack Sami Zayn verbally. We've seen him go ahead and go after AJ and a few others. So it's upsetting that Sami doesn't have a match at Mania yet. We will talk about Orton shortly, but
Sami asked for the time off though from different things I've heard.
That's what I've heard too. So c'est la vie, but
maybe he took a look at this card and just said, you know what, there's not really a place I fit in right now. If there's ever going to be a time for me to take a step back, then maybe now's the time.
Yeah.
And you know what? If that's the case, good for him. If it's a fact of they didn't have anything for him, then that's kind of shit. But here's the thing. We've talked. Sorry, get my thoughts together. We've talked a lot about the rumors of Aleister Black coming in and whatever. And
yeah.
A lot of people have said, you know, after the House of Black, they don't want to see him in another faction. And I agree.
At least not right away. Not right away would be nice.
I was waiting for that. I heard that in your voice. Like, and I agree.
No, I do agree. I'm just talking about a more thing, because we're talking about, or I'm basing this on people that were misused and potentially discarded and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out. Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Bring in Aleister Black.
Yep.
Baron Corbin. And Dijak. There's your new faction. And then they just go around being dicks to everybody. They don't try to be scary like Karrion Kross used to try and be scary.
Yeah.
They don't try to be like, you know, poor general managers and whatever. You don't have Dijak trying to be the Terminator on NXT. They've all got banter. They're all really good at being dickheads in public and on social media.
Yeah.
So have them come out not as a gang of like super tough guys, but just as a gang of assholes that rip everybody apart.
Honestly, you could do that now and just have them take over the gang / group that's already kind of doing that.
Yeah.
In NXT?
No. Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Oh, leave Judgment Day alone.
And they could execute Judgment Day at this point.
They're at the very least, Finn's done with the Judgment Day after Mania.
Oh,
yeah, it has to be.
So why not? If you're gonna, I mean, I'm just saying, if you want to keep that name around, fucking keep Dom and the chicks, and have Karrion be the muscle, and then just slowly integrate other people back in. Although that point, you really that's like stretching the NWO name really fucking far.
Well, why we get into the IC title match? Everybody's in agreement then.
That would be more females than you've ever had in a.
It would be, certainly. Everybody's in agreement then that Logan Paul is winning at Mania. That seems to be the consensus. Yeah. Okay, so we'll head into the IC title match. Speaking of Finn,
in the most positive way possible, I made the case to Jake a little while ago that Logan Paul is the new Brock Lesnar, in the sense of like I don't care how he gets to his matches. I just like watching his matches. This is a perfect example of that. I don't care who wins. I don't care what happens before or after, but I know the match while the match is going on is going to be a lot of fun.
I am thinking it is a very realistic possibility in maybe not 2025, but I definitely think by 2026 he's winning the world title.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Especially now that we're getting away from like long reigns with Roman and stuff. Like you're going to see champions kind of change over a little bit more consistently. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Logan Paul, Jey Uso.
That would be good.
As far as a crowd reaction, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be a possibility, but like, I don't know if it's too soon. Like, I
don't mean immediately. I don't mean
oh,
immediately.
Yeah, oh.
But down the line,
the other fun possibility, because I'm sure it wouldn't stir up any controversy online. The Paul brothers be the ones to dethrone the Street Profits.
Yeah. So, wouldn't be the worst thing. I don't know if I'm for it, but we'll see. You know, I mean, I'm curious who Logan brings with him to Mania. What I've heard rumors of is that Jake, him and Jake have that Netflix show, but they have their upcoming bout as well, where they're going to be boxing each other. So I've heard as a topical rumor, we'll see what comes of it, that Jake had been working on stuff in the ring and they were going to do some type of tag match together before their bout against each other.
Because they're having a boxing match, right?
Yes. So that would be a SummerSlam thing to me.
Give him War Raiders.
or do you go the other way? Do you have a cross promotional thing where Jake shows up unannounced and costs his brother the match to build to the boxing match?
Yeah. Because the event's what?
I mean, I know boxing fans will think that's lame, but I'm not a boxing fan.
I'm
You know what,
not.
though?
It is what it is.
I could see them doing that. I just don't think they're going to do it at Mania. I could definitely see them doing that down the road for sure.
I get that it's Mania, but it's, if you look at the card, it's a pretty disposable match on the Mania card.
Yeah.
Like, this is the match where if they're gonna do something like that, this is the match they do it in.
It seems like, you know.
Yeah. But just, I don't know. It's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just I doubt
Did it happen already? Him and Jake did a little sparring thing on March 27th. That might have been the case, but I don't think they had their big match yet, right?
I don't think so.
It said
think
on
you're doing
Max
it
March 27th, but I didn't hear anything about it. But still, any event, I heard when they were doing that stuff, he's been training. I could see him and Jake doing some type of like SummerSlam tag team thing, or
That I can see happening. That is definitely a possibility.
yeah, I think that would be more than likely what happens. But so getting in,
I don't know how you get there, but the Paul brothers versus reuniting for one night only, Cody and Jey Uso.
that would be a ton of fun. Yeah, okay, so maybe the Max series premiered that day, Trek. So the boxing match didn't happen yet, but just their reality show came out. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Because online wasn't certain set, but yeah.
Paul brothers versus the Usos.
That would be a lot of fun.
Usos,
I could see that being a more of it, because I'm just thinking like team. Oh shit! Actually, no.
I got one up.
I know one. I know one they could do. You got one, Jake?
I got one. Lucha Brothers.
I'm over this way. Yeah.
You know what? Fuck kudos. I didn't even. I
On
didn't
this
even
screen.
think of that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. That's a good. I'm thinking like, what tag team?
Motor City Machine Guns.
Motor City Machine Guns would be great too.
But that's not my real answer though.
No, what's yours?
Okay, because Jake showed up like one time for one like walk his brother to the ring thing.
That's yeah, in like Saudi when he took on Roman for the title, the one lucky punch.
Okay. So, but other than that, it's just been Logan. Logan's been on Raw. Logan's been on SmackDown. Logan has been on pay-per-view. There's one place that Logan hasn't gone.
NXT.
Give me the Paul brothers versus Fraxium.
Oh God, now that's the match.
If you're talking about just purely in ring, yeah, that's the winner right there.
Yeah, because Fraxium's pretty much the greatest tag team they have in WWE at this point.
If you're not in the Young Bucks cult, yes.
Yeah.
It's called the Bullet Club. But the other.
How much of the Bullet Club is in WWE now?
Pretty much all of it.
Pretty much.
If you want like big marquee matches for like, if you want like a draw for like a tag team match to be a draw, and it's like those titles on the line, it's like a publicity stunt, kind of like when they did like Miz and Truth against Rock and Cena.
Yeah.
I would say you do the Paul brothers versus either the team of Drew McIntyre and CM Punk.
Ooh.
Jesus.
Can they coexist?
Or the team of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns.
Damn, reunite the Shield in a way could be crazy.
Okay, I'll do you one better, because we know it's going to happen sooner or later with the NXT-NA working relationship and whatever. Do the first ever NXT versus TNA co-promoted pay-per-view, headlined by the Paul brothers versus the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, right there that's money. And even if you hate the Paul brothers, the Hardy Boys wrestling them, you're gonna find a reason to love it and watch it. So that's a great team.
Like now that I've gone down that route, even like the Rascals would be.
Oh yeah. Oh, they would be, but they don't have the name value, sadly. But
fair.
I show speed. Yeah, get his buck. I wonder if he doesn't bring Logan. I mean, he always brings somebody big to Mania with him. So we'll see who comes of it. I mean, are they going to be in the prime bottle and get their ass kicked again? We don't need to see Orton barking, but
here it is. Fraxium and the Rascals versus the Paul brothers and the New Day.
There we go.
Oh damn.
That would be a hell of a match. Speaking of hell of a match, sir, I'm actually very excited for this one, and I'm pleased with the way the booking.
So bad.
No, I'm trying to keep us focused because we'll never end. But
Crossing off these matches off the list here.
Exactly, getting a few to go because the IC title. At first, I was not crazy with what they were doing for the build, but then it got me. It worked. I like the 4-way setup. I like the way that they have Finn Balor thinking he's, rightfully claimed as the champion is his, but now Dom. And it doesn't matter who wins, as long as it's back in Judgment Day. I liked a little bit of deceptive nature that, we've seen Liv pull on Finn so far. And then Braun Breaker, that spear he did on Carlito was probably one of the best ever.
I will go on record and defend and say, in my opinion, that's the best spear I've ever seen in wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. The angle, the impact, the sell, all of it.
It wasn't even a spear. It was like he jumped down the ramp at him.
And a pure missile angle. Yeah, incredible.
I watched it 3 times. The first 2 times I watched Carlito, but the third time I watched Braun. And I think that was what more impressed me more than anything else. How he just landed almost like a Cirque du Soleil performer on steroids.
Yeah, because he barely hits him, but he follows through in a way where he protects him, but it looks devastating.
I'm sure you guys saw Carlito's response.
Oh yeah, and he was holding his own funeral, rightfully so.
Oh my God.
And then we have Penta in there, who has been a pure friggin' joy to watch since coming to WWE. In AEW, they always felt like him and his brother were missing something. Like they weren't able to connect with the fans like they are now. Whatever the reason might be.
I can tell you what they were missing in AEW.
What's that? Yeah.
Fans on the other side of the arena.
Well, that too. They need people to actually be there to look at. I love the drone footage because you can see the entire arena. Exactly. You can't hide in one spot. And with the drone and with the aerial footage and the shots they get when they come into the crowd. No, they can't. They could do a few victory laps around the ring, but they can't get the drone going. And
weird. Why are those crowd numbers look like
there has to be a victory before.
There has to be what? Spaz?
There has to be a victory before you can do a victory lap.
That's very true.
I was saying, watch they fill in the rest of the audience with PS2 graphic, just fucking SmackDown versus Raw, where it's like, wow, those.
I actually saw that, now that we're out of COVID, Tony Khan's going to buy the Thunderdome from Triple H.
Let me get. What do you mean it doesn't come with people? I need that to be filled. Better spear, Carlito or speed.
Meltzer's there. It'll be couple people.
He did get iShow speed amazing in the Rumble when Braun hit him there. That was great, but I think this one tops it. The angle, the leap.
Cool comedy. That was a whole cool comedy thing of yo, Speed, you busy? You want to go in the Rumble?
Get out there.
We just happen to have music queued up for you.
Yeah, you're ready to go. Everybody that shows up has music production ready.
That kind of stuff though is kind of like the tongue-in-cheek shit, which I just like. Where it's like the Muppets. It's like you all know what the deal is.
That was the thing for years. Is WWE is just like the Muppet Show. It's not a show. It's a show
about a show. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this 4-way. I think this 4-way is going to be the car crash match. I think this is going to be you're going to see some. Absolute just bodies of flying. I love that it's serving multiple purposes where it's Braun Breaker has been on a tear as Intercontinental Champion. Penta's the new hot thing right now on Raw.
Yeah.
And obviously teasing the tension where this is pretty much the nail in the coffin for Judgment Day as far as them splitting up.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful it's a wonderful win across the board as far as just everything plans coming together the right way. I think it's safe to say that Braun is not leaving as champion. I don't think he's leaving as champion.
Yeah.
I concur. Yeah.
I think this is and I'm just gonna go on the record now and say I think Braun Breaker's winning Money in the Bank.
Fair.
I think he's gonna win this year's Money in the Bank.
I will piggyback on that with you.
I think a lot of people are saying it's either gonna be him or Fatu.
No, I think it's gonna be either him or LaKnight. I think it's going to be either
LaKnight would be a good choice too. He's one that certainly needs that type of big elevation to get into the main event scene because he did well handling his own when he went against Roman. You knew it wasn't his time yet, but Milo's in the background somewhere.
Nobody really minded it, but at the same time, like everybody was okay with it because it was a filler challenger. Like if they were trying to present him as a legit challenger, I think a lot of people might turn their noses up a little bit.
Yeah.
My thing with this match, and again, I'm gonna self promote and check out my worst case scenarios thing that I just put up. My problem with this match is if the guy that I want to win wins, it's the worst option.
Right.
I'm pulling for Finn.
Oh, okay.
Because I ever since like Finn had like his sort of like botched call up to the main roster, I've been like, give this guy the ball. But when I look at the other three options,
Shoulder injury. Damn.
Breaker is a machine, and he's the it guy right now. Like to borrow a phrase, he's got like next big thing energy all over the place, right?
He's ready. He is, to me, he's like his head's like hitting that glass ceiling of the IC title, and it's about to break his neck.
Through it.
Like he's about to smash through it.
If you look at Penta, as petty as this sounds, there is a conversation of everybody that's coming over from the other place is being treated like a rock star. Cody, enough said. CM Punk, enough said. Ricky Sainz grabbed the title right away. Ethan Page grabbed the title right away. Penta's already in the IC title picture, whatever. That's a draw. That's a drawing thing, right?
Yeah, damn right it is.
Third option, Dominic Mysterio would be hilarious.
I was about to get there. There is a very strong part of my chaotic brain that just wants to see other like people implode, and like I think it's a little bit of Spaz Phoenix to me, where I want to see Twitter burn, and I want to see Dom win the IC title. Just to see people go like, what the fuck? And I'll tell you right now, if the Seth Rollins winning the triple threat isn't the shock moment, it might be this thing.
I totally agree. That was my prediction. I think Dom wins.
I would agree with you a year ago. My thought on Dom at this point is because he's the sleazy, like get by any means necessary guy, but hiding behind that, he's also becoming really good, and I think that's going under a lot of people's radars. I think as far as that goes, I think this is the most deserved pay-per-view spot I've seen Dominic in yet.
Agreed. I agree with you on that one. To your point,
I don't think it's as much of a rage thing now as it would have been a year.
No. But it would be like another, like I said, another big, like that's, you talk about like a shock moment where it's like, whoa, didn't see that one coming. And the thing of it is that Dom is also one of the last people. He actually said this in an interview somewhat recently, where he was wrestling every show. He was going to every Raw, every SmackDown, every NXT, and doing the dark matches. I went to the SmackDown in Boston. They were here a couple years ago. He wasn't even advertised. It was him versus Cody in the main event, and it was a dark match. And
he was the first opponent for CM Punk when CM Punk came back to the company
in the Garden
at the Madison Square Garden show.
He's purposely being positioned in that workhorse environment to absorb and learn as much as humanly possible. It is and obviously it's not for everybody, but it's a genius way to get someone involved in like a massive way. It's kind of like they've been doing this behind the scenes the whole time. It's like, no, I've been training all along. It's like, oh, you son of a bitch! Like you figured it out.
You evil bastard.
I'm not making a flex, but look at the diversity of talent across like every level of the WWE roster, right?
Yep, that too.
Could you ask for a better selection of teachers?
No, certainly not.
Like when he came in and he was babyface and he had his first match and it was during COVID and it was after Rollins had put Ray's eye out and whatever, right? With the big painted on golf.
Yes,
it was hilarious. It was COVID.
Eye for an eye.
And then they tried to do it in AEW for real with car keys and shit. Why?
It's not how you start a car.
Yeah. That's not where I park my car.
That's not what I meant when I said ride my face. But
take that golf cart to the extreme.
Do you know why Mike Tyson doesn't believe in religion?
What?
Do you know why Mike Tyson doesn't believe in religion?
Oh no.
Why is that?
Because he always punches people in the face. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Anyways, but no, when you think about the first, was it the first or was it one of the first? But if one of the first people you face as a brand new person in the company is Seth Rollins, they're doing something with you. It's like, who was it? It was Carmelo Hayes. Once he won the breakout contract in NXT, when he was in NXT, his second opponent was Adam Cole.
Right, it's instant exposure to high like. It's just another level of why like a lot of the business model and mindset and changes they've done in WWE is smart. It's not just like we're gonna throw shit out there to throw shit out there. It's like, no, hey, we want to position this person or this character or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's start.
You might think we're building a boring house, but we're building it on concrete.
Exactly.
And it's long-term investment, which is the biggest part too. Is like, hey, we're gonna long. I'm not honest. I'm gonna lie with you. I wouldn't mind Dom winning the IC title. I think Penta's the safe bet, for obvious reasons. And then I think that Finn. I wouldn't mind Finn, honestly, Spaz. Like I wouldn't be disappointed. I just think that.
But I think he's the last person being listed in the conversation.
Yes. Agreed,
yeah.
Completely. Because
I think there's, as much as I want it, there's better arguments to be made other than just I want it.
Exactly. I definitely think Dom's winning, though. That's my pick. I think that's what's going to end Judgment Day. I think that him and Liv, that's the plan. I imagine Liv retaining the titles too, so it'll be like the three of them as champions.
I think you could do the same thing with Finn, and having Finn winning be the thing that ends the Judgment Day. Do the whole
certainly
Triple H thumbs up, thumbs down thing.
But Dom winning would be a bigger shock.
Yeah, I think that's the surprise, and especially because he gets so much great heat. Typically that boo reaction, I think would he's going to get cheered if he wins, and people will still boo the hell out of him. But I think they're going to be surprised and happy for him in a way because we've watched him grow up. You think about when he started during the COVID era, and he was taking on Rich Swann every week, and doing these.
And you do know he has to pin Finn, right?
Yes, that's my final point of this. I think it's going to come down to it.
If Dom wins, it's like Dom pins Finn after a blow from Liv Morgan or something like that.
Or if you want to get like really crazy with it, like let's and I'm just pulling this out of my ass. So let's say we have like Finn is knocked out. Dom is trying to rile Finn up. Braun spears the shit out of Dom. Dom's body flips onto Finn, and then somehow Penta pulls Braun out of the ring. And then so Dom just like his unconscious body just falls onto Finn Balor's unconscious
to
body.
get the pin.
Here it is.
The unlikely champion.
Finn gets his arm broken by Penta. Penta turns around into a spear by Braun, but because Braun's not paying attention, he doesn't see Raquel and Liv pulling the ropes down, so the spear takes him right out of the ring, and Dom pins Finn with the broken arm.
I think it's Carlito, not the girls.
It could be.
Oh wait, shit! Is JD McDonough cleared?
Not yet, no.
There's rumors that he's doing better than thought, but he's not cleared yet.
Okay.
He himself said he wasn't cleared yet. Just the other day.
I was like, shit, because I'm like, there's a spot to return.
He said he's really missing it, and it's hurting him that he's not there for it. So he likes to make other people look good, was the direct quote, and he's upset that he's not there to do that this Mania. Like, everybody remembers the RKO off the cage in the War Games match, but they forget that he was the one that took it. Like, a lot of those great moments he's given to people.
Yeah, this would be another one that would be perfect.
The other thing is, too, is because I like Jordan Devlin when he was doing his NXT stuff, and, like, much as it's probably not going to happen, I'd love to see him just come back as a singles guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it either. But
either that or once Finn is done, like, have them just have a run as a team, like, not a team within a faction.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either.
The fact that they got to be tag team champions as mentor and student for a little bit, even though they're a heel faction, it was still, like, a feel-good thing.
DJ Anime in the chat, I'm not gonna be happy for Dom winning. I mean, that's kind of my point. Is that like I do that for that reason.
Liz hates Dom, rightfully so. And Trek said, "What do you guys think about Becky Lynch?" I was gonna bring that up shortly, pretty much more on the next match. I'll have that talked about, but yeah, I think that's going to be it. Dom pins Finn, whether it's unintentional or not, and that leads to the rivalry of them two, Judgment Day splitting up, and maybe a face turn for Finn Balor, because I'd like to see him be a champion. He's a great heel. I don't care if he's heel or force, but
I don't want him to be like friggin' Smiley Finn. Like,
no.
Like, stay edgy. Like, you can do the whole like Prince Balor thing and just do it to other bad guys.
Exactly. That's how he was in New Japan. He was a heel that was revered as a face because he did things as such, and that's how Bullet Club got formed and all of that.
The Warriors were like, they didn't change their gimmick; they just changed who they faced, and then it just like.
And it worked for them. Yep.
It's kind of like Obafemi right now. Cheap plug, Jake and I are going to be recording our NXT preview later on this week. But Obafemi isn't a
Yes.
face or a heel. He's face or heel depending on who he's facing.
Exactly. And
Face.
they've had a lot of the matches this Mania be all faces, all heels, all tweeners, all, so it's kind of been, I don't want to say it muddies the water, but it definitely does, because some of the predictions aren't as straightforward, and also who you're cheering for kind of gets taken out. I like it at some points, but for this next match, so you said Finn, and you and I said Dom. So Spaz is the odd man out for this one, but he might be right with Mal, or we might be right with Dom. We'll see. But the triple threat, the women's triple threat here for the WWE World Championship. The story.
Somebody say something nice before I get my.
Yeah, Bianca's a very impressive in-ring competitor. I liked her in NXT. When she went up to the main roster, it was that constant smiling while using the hair as a weapon, and some of the angles she got put into that really soured me on her. She's not bad in the ring. I enjoy watching her matches to a certain extent with, but she kind of got a little bit like Hogan-esque for a while, where she was just running through people while smiling. Yeah, not kind of. Hogan-esque, very, very much so. And it got to be just overbearing and tiresome. She gets involved in this match because she wins the Chamber. Realistically, Io should have won the Chamber and gone against Rhea, and that should be our match. Rhea has never beaten Io on NXT or the main roster. That is your entire story for Mania. That is all you ever needed. That is all you ever should have had. And I mean, you could have even had Io beat her at Mania, take the title, and continue this feud. Oh my God, and she still can't beat her. It doesn't mean Rhea retains, but I think she should have walked in champion and walked out without the belt, as where last year she walked out and walked in with no title, walked out with one. Kind of shades of like, hey, your year's gone to shit. They're staying with that story with Rhea. She's lost everybody. Now she would lose the belt. Then we would get the Alone promo that was great backstage from her. But having them do it on just a random episode of Raw, oh my God, she lost the title just to get Bianca involved. Really, it's just not appetizing. If it made better sense, then I'd be all for it. And this is not one of those instances being like, I didn't get what I wanted, so I tried to go along with what they gave us. It's not clicking. It didn't make Rhea look good. It didn't make Io look good. It made Io look like an afterthought the entire time. Like everybody just forgot about her. Yeah. Again, Bianca looks like she's a pushy person inserting herself, and then Rhea just kind of looks like a mess, and she's forcing her way into things, and she's not acting honorable like she had, and it's just it's shit.
Second verse, same as the first, but for me, the only way that this works for me is if Bianca wins by turning heel and wins the belt. And then that sets up Rhea and Io to go off on their own path. I know it's literally the exact same thing with Seth and Roman and Punk that I just pitched, but basically kind of the same idea.
But no, because there's a lot of stories that aren't fixed and figured.
And Jake, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to pull another match into this.
Go right ahead, please. You kind of have to if I think what you're going with.
Jade Cargill, Naomi.
Yeah.
I think, quick scan of the room, I think we agree Jade Cargill has to win this.
Yeah.
No.
No. See?
I think Naomi. I think it's a must-win for Naomi. If Jade wins, it's dead in the water.
There's nothing left
Jade
to
wins,
it.
The person with more star power goes out to be a bigger star, and Naomi, who has struggled to matter for 10 years, can keep struggling.
But she just got caution tape all over her.
Yeah, she did
But I think okay, I can't stand Naomi. I can't stand Bianca. I'm no longer apologizing for saying either of those things.
I think both of them are winning at Mania too.
Yeah, right.
Fuck you. Fuck you so much. But I'll give a sliver of credit. I'll give them both something to do, okay? Jade Cargill, it's her maiden voyage as a singles competitor after they brought her in with all the star power and all the fanfare and all that. She was jammed into a threesome with these two ladies, and then she was jammed into a tag team with these guys because but like it's her maiden voyage being the sole focus of a singles match at a big pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
I mean, other than the ones that were just like exhibitions, right?
Yep.
She has to go over. She has to kill Naomi, but I'll give Naomi something to do. Naomi can be useful.
Uh-oh.
Naomi can be useful for a second because Jade Cargill and Naomi is night 1, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I presumably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking at the card that Jake has up on the
I
graphic.
see it.
But
Yes.
if Naomi goes home the loser that she is and stews about it overnight, knowing that there's an Mania coming, and her ex-friend who she did all this weird heelish stuff for, that then walked away from her, is in that second match on night 2. What we could have is Rhea Ripley comes down to the ring, ready for the match. Io Sky comes down to the ring, ready for this match. Bianca Belair's music hits. But where's Bianca? We play the music again, but where's Bianca? And, Naomi has hit Bianca Belair with a car. And we get the singles match we wanted.
Or
Jade Cargill gets to actually be a star on night 1.
I think you might have skipped some levels there, Spaz.
maybe just a few. You jumped right to murder, but vehicular manslaughter.
Not really, because why was Jade Cargill taken out?
Yeah.
Cool to be there.
No, she assaulted.
Done. I did it for the Rock.
She assaulted Jade Cargill with a car, quote unquote, for Bianca. It's like, oh, you didn't appreciate it? Here, you can have. There's precedent because the entire inciting incident was a vehicular incident.
Yeah.
So Naomi goes home, cries like the bitch that she is, still has a job the next day because she married the right guy, comes back to work, runs over her next opponent, and they can have a little mini feud on the kick. We're gonna bring back kickoff matches, right?
Yeah.
Let Bianca Belair and Naomi kick the shit out of each other on kickoff so that nobody's watching. And let Jade Cargill be a star, let Io Sky be a star, let Rhea Ripley be a star, bring up some other stars from NXT, and I'm sorry, like Mean Girls, let's stop pretending that Naomi is a thing.
See, I think Naomi, like Spaz, you're on your own planet in this one. I see why you dislike her so much, but I don't know that Naomi can lose here. To me,
cringy as hell.
I'm not a fan, but with her just turning heel and people are liking it, they're liking this heel turn. I thought it was terribly acted, but hey, people are enjoying it. If they, just like Cena, if she loses here, it's done. There's more they can get out of this story, and especially you think it should be a squash. Jade should go in there, squash her, and be done with it like she's done before. But I think Naomi cheats or something happens, and
Jade's gonna look like $1 million. Well, I would say it's either one of two things. It's either Jade's gonna look like $1 million, and Naomi's gonna get a bullshit roll up, grab the ropes, grab the tights, win, or Jade gets the win and Naomi beats the ever living piss out of her again. But that would be kind of repetitive. So I don't think we do that. So
but here's the thing: I disagree in the sense that you can see a Cody thing, because Cody, at the top of his game, has fought everybody. Has fought Rollins. Has fought. Punk. That's the only thing left on his bucket list at the moment. But he's fought all the other. He's mixed it up with Gunther. He's mixed it up with Priest. He's mixed it up with everybody. Like, Cody winning and keeping the belt is boring because where do you go with it? Whereas Cena is where all the potential opportunities are. Jade Cargill, as a singles wrestler, is a brand new star who has everybody else to fight. Give me Jade Cargill versus Zarya. Give me Jade Cargill versus Jordan Grace. Give me Jade Cargill versus Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. Give me Jade Cargill going for the United States. Jade Cargill versus Chelsea Green would be hilarious.
There's a ton of meat on the bone with Jade. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Jade Cargill has everywhere to go. Cody Rhodes only has a couple places to go if he maintains that title. Plus, this isn't for a title, so it doesn't.
No, hear me out though. What if Bianca comes to the ring and you think she's coming out to support Jade, but then she's the one that cost Jade the match? And then you finally get the reveal. That's Bianca's heel turn. She's a heel with Naomi, and then because it never made sense that Bianca either A, didn't know that Naomi did it, or B, wasn't involved in some way because her other friend didn't trust her enough to tell her, and it wasn't a very logical explanation of what we got in the fight between them.
Okay, but I blame WWE for that. The main reason it doesn't make sense is because they pulled her out of the story she was in to drop her into a story that doesn't need her.
Exactly.
If you want to say Bianca Belair turns heel, then on Jade as well, then first of all, structure-wise, Bianca Belair has to stay on SmackDown to continue that feud, correct?
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
Then in that case, flip what I said on its head. The loser would be Jade. Everybody would be outraged. Jade would come back the next night, be the one to take Bianca Belair out of the triple threat.
Well, keep in mind,
and that's how you get Bianca out of it, and then they have their match on SmackDown and feuds going forward. I don't hate that.
If it's revealed if it's revealed that Naomi and Bianca were in it together, and then they, God help me, go on to both win their respective matches, then Jade can only feud with one of the two people that assaulted her, because Bianca Belair winning that title moves her to a different brand.
Yeah. What if Jade inadvertently doesn't cost Bianca, but causes Bianca to win the match? So Jade comes out there to try and screw Jade, and then ends up making her win.
Two really over people in Io Sky and Rhea Ripley.
And they get overshadowed. That's true too. See, there's not a great way to do this.
The good way to do it is put Bianca back in her place on SmackDown and let the women that actually deserve to be in this match be in this match.
They'll be able to carry that. Unfortunately, gentlemen, I got to hop off, unfortunately, for the time.
No worries, bud. We appreciate you being here as long as you could. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll get the rest of your predictions so we can ramble them off for the week. But thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem. I'll spitfire the ones we have.
Please do. There we go. Perfect.
So as again, I think Jey Uso's winning the world title. I think Tiffany Stratton's retaining the women's title. Tag team titles. That one's a coin toss for me, but I had to go. I'm gonna go with New Day. I think they have to have a run with that heel run with the belts. They haven't done anything since the heel turn, and they're still really hated. So go for it. U.S. title. Honest to God, flip a coin, because you can make the argument either way. Jacob Fatu, I think it's safe to say, though, regardless of whether he wins or not, Jacob Fatu's next rival is Solo.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio, I think, should get the win over El Grad. That's just a fun throwaway. Like, they're just gonna have fun with it. Who gives a shit?
I said all the other luchadors should come out and sell.
That would actually be fun. That actually would be pretty fun.
Have them all demask him.
The last big one, again, a bit of a coin toss for me, but I think Drew is going to win over Damian Priest. I think he needs that win more than
Damian. Yeah.
All right, I got one question for Connor before he heads out.
Yeah.
If anything, what do we do with Randy Orton?
I still think that Aldis is the answer. I think Nick Aldis is the you do the one time.
That's a great answer.
You brush off the suit. They kind of already teased it from what I saw on SmackDown. You have him do the match. Orton gets the win. Obviously, Nick Aldis gets his WrestleMania moment. That sets up the next match between Orton and Cena at Backlash, because Backlash is in St. Louis, which is Orton's hometown.
Yep. And
I say you use it as an excuse to
use an excuse to what?
Use it as a either Nick Aldis says I'm going to find you. Randy Orton comes out at WrestleMania and says, I'm offering an open challenge. I want a WrestleMania match. I'm going to have a WrestleMania match. Somebody get out here. And then you have the surprise return of Aleister Black.
I'd rather save Black for SmackDown after Mania.
They are building up Zelina Vega, which kind of feels random. But if you know that Black is incoming, it doesn't feel so random anymore. So,
well, on screen it feels random.
Yes, not behind the scenes.
We all know the magic. Anyway, if we're keeping
up with kayfabe.
Thank you, my friend, the former OKFabe, Connor, Super Nerd CM613. You can find his description info down below in my description box. Thank you so much for being here, my friend, and we'll see you throughout the week for WrestleMania week.
Peace out.
But, Sir Spaz, I mean, I don't think you're wrong with Bianca not needing to be involved. It would be cool if they had Jade take her out. Like Bianca costs Jade the match on night 1, so night 2, Bianca gets taken out by Jade, and then you just have Io beat Rhea, and you keep that story going of Io never being beaten by Rhea, and you can make a really good singles match with a stipulation for the next show, for Backlash or whatever.
I think it would be really funny. I mean, it would take some of the severity out of the match. I think it would, if Naomi and Jade Cargill brawl to a no contest.
Yeah, certainly.
They brawl up the ramp, and then the next night they brawl back down the ramp through the triple threat and fuck it up.
That would be nuts.
Anyway,
certainly.
Unfortunately, our buddy Connor just made me look at the clock for 2 hours, and I'm going to be the second one in a row.
You're out in a minute, so
yeah.
That's okay, bud. Like I said, we were just having a good chat today, hanging out, getting through all the predictions. I appreciate you being here and hanging out as long as you did. We had a bunch of tech issues early on that really kind of caused a snafu, so we lost a little bit of time, but we made it work for the most part.
We will get back on one more time, dig down into our concrete final predictions later this week.
Exactly.
Stand and deliver. Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, 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 indeed, my friend. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a great time.
Everywhere.
I am. I have the stream schedule up. I'll be live this week and weekend pretty much incessantly. It's going to be a hell of a time, that's for sure. So I'm going to be live pretty much throughout the entire week and weekend. So, and we'll have you here when you can be.
Way taken care of.
That's right. So
I will be, at some point tonight, I will be hopping on by myself just to do a quick preview for TNA Unbreakable that's coming up this Thursday.
There you go.
Not much on the card. It's mostly the tournament to establish that first ever TNA International Champion. It's probably going to be about a 5-minute video, but we never know how it goes. So we'll get that out. You and I will talk about NXT. You and I will take one last crack at these WrestleMania previews later on in the week. And I'll be joining you for Unbreakable. I'll be joining you for WrestleMania Night 2.
Yes, indeed.
I've got a family conflict on Night 1, so I'm sure you've got some other superstars in your back pocket.
Yes,
I'm
indeed.
ask you right here live, because I haven't asked you doing a live stream after WrestleMania SmackDown?
No, I'm not doing anything this Friday. So
okay.
That's going to be my Easter. I'm going to go ahead and
off, yeah.
Not even off, but I think we might be live during the day briefly. But
Jake, how dare you take a night off?
I know. How dare I? We'll see what happens, because the Hall of Fame I used to cover, and it's kind of just like, hey, what am I supposed to say? I love these guys. That was a funny story. Yeah, there's just not a lot to cover, so I figured, next day when we get Send Deliver Oi 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 being reviewed, we'll touch note on that. If there's anything like super major that happens on SmackDown, maybe we'll pop in quick and see. But Liz will be streaming too. You and I will be together Wednesday recording, as you said, the State of Wrestling. There's going to be content all over the place. I'll be live after Raw. We'll be live after NXT. We'll be live for the TNA Unbreakable pay-per-view. We'll be live after Send Deliver Oi Oi Oi. We'll be live after Night 1 and Night 2. We'll be live Sunday, late morning for that cup of coffee stream, and we'll be covering things, and then we'll be live for the Raw after Mania and NXT after Mania. So a ton of content coming up. Let some people know where they can find you, my good man.
Well, first of all, NXT getting to close out WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas by
their
next episode in Vegas is a nice little capper.
So awesome.
I'm really interested to see what that, because I don't know where they're doing the NXT weekly episode. They're not doing it in the same place as the pay-per-view, obviously, so I don't know what kind of venue they've found for that. So it's going to be one of those what does it look like type of things. But yeah, when I'm not here, basically let's caveat it like that. When I'm not here, you can find me on YouTube at Spaz Phoenix Podcast. You can find me on Rumble at Spaz Phoenix Podcast. You can look up on Amazon, iTunes, and Spotify by looking up Spaz Phoenix Podcast. You can find me on X or on Instagram at Spaz Phoenix. But for the most part, you can see me hanging out with this guy on his live streams, because he's the king of live streams. I'm the king of pods. And
hey.
Last thing I will say, as I say, always go check out our friends over at the Wrestling for Life Network for your live watch-along content. Things we've had a big conversation.
WFU. That's right.
That's right.
And they'll be at the Blue Live Theater at the Fountain Blue Hotel in Vegas, Tuesday, April 22nd. That's also where they'll feature the Undertaker One Dead Man show. And the Hall of
doing the roast and all that kind of stuff.
They're doing the Hall of Fame ceremony, the Undertaker One Dead Man show, and this episode of NXT. There, not the roast though. At least not that I see. So interesting.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, sir, for being here. And we will go ahead and we'll talk to you soon enough, my good man.
Yeah, we will.
We got enough to look forward to this week with WrestleMania being so soon ahead. It for as long as we've been waiting now, it feels like, hey, it is next week, and we just still, in my mind, have a long way to go, unfortunately. But that's not the case. Tom Brady is going to appear apparently at WrestleMania. That's funny. People are going nuts about Nick Aldis being the perfect opponent, not Solo, not, Aleister Black. Aleister Black wouldn't be bad as the surprise return, but one, you don't want to see Orton lose. You don't want Black to lose on his, his return, his re-debut. Setting it up with Aldis here, Randy Orton, he said, you might get RKO'd again. That's all there is to it.
Wait a minute, save. I didn't need saving.
They had that great back and forth together, and it all but says we've not seen Aldis wrestle in WWE, so that's...
And he wants the bloodline. And I want to see that match So do the fans.
See, and there's just so much to it. I think Nick Aldis is the best choice. We still haven't heard anything about Alexa Bliss. I mean, her and Liv Morgan was set to be the match we thought we were getting, and then nothing. We haven't seen her on SmackDown. Apparently, WWE now is, according to the latest reports, are holding off bringing the Wyatt Six back until after WrestleMania. So they have creative plans locked in for Mania. So the faction's next chapter and Alexa Bliss's return is expected to begin once the WrestleMania storylines are done. So interesting. We'll likely see them on the SmackDown after Mania. We'll see what happens there, because we've been waiting for them to arrive for quite some time now. You know, this Friday, the Go Home SmackDown is going to have John Cena returning face-to-face with Cody. As the gentleman mentioned before, you know, Connor said we got that 6-woman tag match. Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, Zelina Vega taking on the U.S. champ on the female side, Chelsea Green, and her secret harvest, Piper Niven and Alba Fire. We also have the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship match on the Street Profits are defending their titles against the Motor City Machine Guns. And then, of course, we have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Who was the last winner? I think it was Bronson Reed, right? Jey Uso, Braun Strowman. I'm trying to think. Matt Hardy, Baron Corbin, Cesaro. I'm trying to think of some other big winners, but I think Bronson Reed, was the last one to win it big time. So interesting there. So for the rest of the card, the Intercontinental Championship match, I said that Dom's going to win. For the Sin City street fight between Priest and Drew, this has been probably one of the best built matches towards Mania. At first, I was like, they're going to throw these two together? Why? Doesn't really make sense. They did a perfect job with Drew McIntyre's slowly falling apart mental status and the way that he is just angry at everyone, but justifiably so. You know, he's watched people defend and turn and go back on their word time and time again. And him and Priest were just destined for this battle. I like, obviously, the attack that Drew suffered at the hands of Priest, getting glass in his eye. He's got to walk around looking like a pirate now with the eye patch. I recall that. Not much fun for people watching a few years back. But I agree. I think it's going to be a bit heel heavy with this Mania. I think Drew wins here. Especially with the street fight scenario, you know, the Sin City street fight. I think that they're going to capitalize on the weapons. Drew's going to get the upper hand. He wins here. This way they can face off again, probably at the next show. So we said, obviously, Logan Paul would be AJ Styles as far as my predictions go. The women's tag team titles. So you have Bayley and Lyra teaming up. Lyra's the women's intercontinental champion. Raquel wants to go for that title. I guess in a way, if they continue to defend the tag titles, it would be cool if Liv held the women's title and Raquel held the mid-card title. But that's a lot to defend in those titles. One of the titles would get forgotten about and set to the backside, so we don't want that. I think the women retain. I think Liv and Raquel keep the belts here because Bayley and Lyra, you saw a bit of contention originally when Bayley lost, but then she hugged Lyra. I think we're going to slowly see them end up not being able to coexist, a little bit of miscommunication, and we're going to see them not make it. I think Bianca will end up... If she does turn heel, she'll win. If she doesn't, then Io will retain. I think that's the point. I think they want to keep the story going that Rhea does not get beat. And Rhea cannot beat, Io. And Bianca would kind of be a non-factor unless, of course, we do get that heel turn. Jade and Naomi, I think Naomi has to win there because, again, like Connor said, it should be a squash. Jade should just go in there and destroy Naomi again, but... That's such an easy prediction that I don't think that will be the case. I really think that we're gonna see Naomi win there. Now we've got Rey Mysterio taking on El Grande Americano. And, Chad Gable's fantastic. He didn't have a Mania match last year. He just supported Sami Zayn. So I'm glad that he's getting in there this year. He's doing something fun. It's going to be a highlight. Everything they've done with him so far has been absolutely excellent, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm curious to see if they have the LWO come out and they try to stop the Creed brothers getting involved, and they end up taking El Grande Americano's mask off after he wins. But I think he's winning there. LA Knight, Jacob Fatu. I in one way I could see LA Knight retaining, as Jacob Fatu is about to win, but Solo Sikoa, out of jealousy, costs Jacob the match. And that leads to them feuding going forward, because I love you Solo can only last so far. And what's going on, Severance Series in the chat? How you doing? Spaz just left. He had to run, but you can go ahead and rewind back after and check out his predictions. So if it's going straight up and we don't see Solo or anyone get involved, I think Jacob Fatu will win. But we don't have Solo on the card at all. It's kind of seeming obvious that he'll go out there with Jacob, and I think he ends up not intentionally yet. I mean, we could say later on, yeah, he did it intentionally, but for now there'll be a little bit of confusion. And hey, I didn't mean to. I was trying to help you, but I think Fatu loses because Solo costs him the match inadvertently. Then we have the War Raiders, the World Tag Team Champions on the side of Raw. They're taking on the New Day, who turned heel and really have not done much since doing so. They got that great reaction. They beat down verbally Big E, totally berated him and just shut him down. Loved that. Here's the thing, though. What have they done since? They've lost some tag matches and had a few good promos, but that's kind of been it. So, in the interim, I think they need something big. I think they need to go ahead and really, I mean, they looked impressive against the War Raiders. I wish we didn't see that match yet. I don't know why they consistently want to let us see the matches we're getting at Mania on free TV, even in some way, shape, or form. Have a little bit of patience. Again, the problem this year was that they had such an extended build time until WrestleMania that they had to kind of delay things and drag things out. All in all, I think the War Raiders are losing. New Day, they're going to go ahead and they're going to get the win here. I think heel New Day needs that big celebration, and I think they need the title, and I think that that's going to be the time for them to do so. War Raiders. Yeah, I genuinely think New Day is going to win, though. They'll get their big heel celebration, get booed out of the building. Maybe even Big E could walk out and shake his head like, oh, what have you done? You disgust me. Then, one of the more viral and popular matches, we have the Women's World Champion, Tiffany Stratton, defending against the Women's Royal Rumble winner, Charlotte Flair. Obviously, this is infamous for all the wrong reasons. It's gone viral with their little back and forths. Initially, Charlotte supposedly knew what Tiffany was going to say on their via satellite segment and was able to just talk all over her and trounce her and make her look pathetic, uncalled for. But hey, Charlotte knew what she was doing there. She wanted to trash her opponent. So Tiffany, she loaded some ammo in her microphone and was ready to fire off a big bang. And they did not pull those punches. They went ahead and slugged at each other, ending with Kaiser supposedly being in Charlotte's DMs, which not the truth apparently, but she tried what she could to sling some barbs back. It fell apart, and it makes everybody wonder, can they do business? Can they get along long enough for them to have a successful Mania match? People are tired of Charlotte, but I think Charlotte's winning because it's a Flair, and that's what they do. Sadly, I don't want to see it happen. Tiffany has not had a long time with the belt. I hope I'm wrong, but to me, it feels like we're getting Charlotte Flair's victory here. They want her to be the female version of her father and break that record on the women's side. It's the problem with Charlotte, though, and as everybody knows, she ends up she gets injured and then she disappears for a long time. When she comes back as a face. People don't want to cheer her. She gets booed. She gets upset, gets an attitude, becomes pissy pants, turns into a heel, attacks the audience, is given a title, gets injured, and rinse and repeat. And that's kind of been her booking for a long time. when the women's title was first introduced and they got rid of the Divas title, we used to jokingly call it the hot potato belt because it would just be switched. Oh, it's Sasha's now. Now it's Charlotte's. It's Sasha's again, you know, and they would go back and forth. Because of that, I think Charlotte is winning here. It hurts me to say so. I enjoy Tiffany Stratton. I even like her on the mic. She's another one that was a heel, cashed in, kind of a face turn, but nothing fully fledged. She's acting and being the exact same. She cashed in on her and took out Nia, got the title, and since then, that's pretty much what we've gotten from her. So she hasn't had any other major feud or anything to really sink her teeth into and build up on. So unfortunately, this run feels a bit marred in controversy because of their inability to have a successful promo in the ring. I mean, it was a success. It got people talking. That's the end goal, but not in a positive way. I think Charlotte wins here, and that's, you know, we'll see. Tiffy or Flair? I'm going Tiffany Stratton. Then, of course, we have the World Heavyweight Championship match. Gunther, the former longest reigning IC champ and current World Heavyweight champ, leader of Imperium, is taking on the men's Royal Rumble winner of 2025, Jay Main Event Uso. And though he's not in the main event, this is treated as such. Gunther has been an outstanding heel for years now. It's something like almost 90% of his entire career in the WWE. He's been a champion between NXT UK, NXT, and of course the main roster. Absolutely incredible. I think they're going to give the win to Jay here. Some people said, imagine if Gunther just squashed him, or if Gunther, you know, gets the better of him. He's destroyed Jay every single time they've met. Jay is 0-3 against Gunther. And I could say that Gunther might win, especially making Jimmy bleed and everything that he did, until they had their most recent promo. Jay came out not yeeting, not cheering, not smiling. Not main event, Uso, not, he was just Jay. You hurt my family. You made my brother bleed. I'm going to end you. And it was intense. It was fierce. It's great. See, Gunther, you say he's boring, Liz. I do understand why some people feel that way. And shout out to TSS in the chat. Good to see you there as well, my old friend. But Gunther is just very cold and calculated. Like, he can have very high action, intensity, exciting matches, but what he tries to do is tell a story where he just wears your opponent down, wears his opponent down, beats them down, takes every advantage in the ring he can get by being as excellent as he is, using his prowess and strength to just outmaneuver and outclass you. And a lot of times, you know, he's got the long holds and rests and whatnot in, but it works. It absolutely works, and he is just a true evil bastard. As much as I could see Gunther retaining, I think they need the feel-good moment here with Jey Uso winning, especially if we're having what happens with the other night's main event with Cena taking the title from Cody. Whew. Jey Uso is going to be that ultimate feel-good moment. And as we discussed earlier, the triple threat, Seth, Roman, and CM Punk. That one is in itself, I mean, it could be anybody's game. And I genuinely, we've broken it down many ways, and we've allowed it to kind of play out as much as possible. Everybody's gotten their cards shown, pun intended, with Vegas, and we've been able to see what's on the table. Punk not only wants a match, but a WrestleMania main event. He's finally got it. Roman feels like he should have been able to win the Rumble. He was taken out by Punk. Him and Seth have all of this history, and they just can't coexist together. Seth hates CM Punk, but he's also, again, you know, former member of the Shield and the one who destroyed it all, the architect. I think it's got to be Seth. I think Seth wins and he leaves with Paul, or Paul helps him win. I think he's going to come, Paul Heyman's going to come out with CM Punk, which messes with Roman's head. And then we're going to see Seth leave or be helped by Heyman with the favor he owed by not being stomped on. Definitely seems like Seth is leaving with Paul, and that's going to close out the show that night, which could be kind of like a dual back-to-back kind of oh no moments, like, oh, Seth wins and people are upset, and then Cena wins the next night. So we'll see what comes of it, but I would love to see CM Punk win here and then go on to eventually face Cena for the title. That seems like a great idea, but patience. We've got time to get there, and in the interim, it's not going to hurt Roman or Punk to lose here. They can go ahead and manage to recover quickly, and especially the level and caliber of the match. I think it's perfectly stated that we see Seth Rollins go ahead and win. He's going to get help from Paul and leave with him. I think that's about as easy and straightforward as it can be. And then, of course, I think we've covered everything from night 2. Like I said, Cody Rhodes, he's got to lose, and that hurts me to say so. He's had the belt for a little over a year now, and taking on his former mentor and now permanent asshole, John Cena. What's going on, Casey is Raw? Oh, glad to see you in the chat as well. I absolutely think Cena needs to win here. If he loses, that's it. What do we get? I mean, so you turned heel to not, you gave up on all your morals and laurels. You quit on everything you believed in to lose, to not get the belt. No. So he has some contingency planned. He's got something up his sleeve. Cena is always prepared, and it could just be that he believes outright that he can beat Cody, but thankfully, they have one more face-to-face, and Cena can lose, but he's lost so many times now. Cena has not won a singles match in something like over 2,000 plus days. They wouldn't pay attention to that number, that statistic. They wouldn't bring it up if it wasn't going to be played to. I definitely think Jay will win, but I don't think Cody is retaining. So Casey thinks it's the opposite. He thinks Cody's retaining and he thinks Jay is losing. And Liz is, she says Cody's not losing and Cena can. So it seems like no one's in agreement. And that's kind of the best thing about this. Out of all of the matches on the card, this is the one that has the most intrigue for me because it really, really can go any which way. Cena has to win. Plus, it's time for Cody. I don't think Cody needs to go away for a little bit, but I certainly tone it down because they're gonna. I don't want them to ruin their top babyface and overexpose him. But that would be a great. Let him disappear for a little bit, take a break. He's been going hard for a while, and then you bring him back in maybe a month's time for Saturday night's main event. But he's the face. He's everything. He doesn't necessarily need a break, but it wouldn't hurt to give him a little time to sell this. Maybe a couple weeks. I don't want to see him going long, but I absolutely think that Cena's winning. I'm set on it. I don't see another way around it. Cody wins, and then what? It feels, again, there's that word, more like a foregone conclusion that Cena has to win here, or else what do we do with heel Cena? I know, and it's going to be upsetting, and it's going to be heartbreaking, and I think that's what they want. They want that level of pain and discomfort and uneasiness. They want people to feel, like it's a big deal. And I think the biggest deal of all is to have it end WrestleMania where Cena's the champion. Yeah, sell the loss, give him time. I agree, TSS. Trek says, for some reason, it feels like Cody wins because they change anything about Cena. I feel like he might not change at all until he wins. Then he can come out with something different. I think they did it intentionally because they did not want to make John cool. They were worried about having him be the cool heel and cheered and revered. They didn't want to give him a new look and new music and new attire and all of this stuff because they were afraid that might get him over. And what we need right now is just a straight up evil heel that people want to boo just unmercilessly. We want to hear them unload on Cena every time. And apparently he's got a lot of dates for the rest of the year. Like, he's not just disappearing till SummerSlam time. He's going to be on the show several times and going to be defending it up in Saturday night's main event, as well as others. So if he is a champ, he'll be around to defend it. If he's not the champ, he'll be around to fight for it. Thankfully, he'll be here more often than not. And that's what's hurt their Mania build, not having The Rock come out once this entire time, once is baffling. We've not seen him since the Chamber when the turn happened. Almost 2 months ago, essentially, with everything. No word from The Rock. And that, it's almost illogical in a way. I mean, yeah, I've seen a win to defend it against Orton at Backlash. That's what people are thinking because they've got St. Louis being the location there. Makes perfect sense, and everybody wants to see Cena and Orton go one more time. And it kind of helps build towards Spaz's theory, gives a little credence there that, hey, we'll build up all the way to the Avengers ending where we get, Punk coming to save the company from John. And that's how we get their rematch. So I certainly can see Cena walking out with the title to close out WrestleMania. He wants to break that record, and you may not want to see Cena and Orton, Liz, but a lot of fans do. That is one of the top requested matches, almost as much as Cena and CM Punk, Cena and Orton, because they had such a history and storied rivalry. All the matches they had. One of my most hated Cena matches is with him and Orton. That I Quit match where Orton handcuffed him to the top of the turnbuckle. He's handcuffed over his head and beaten with kendo sticks and weapons and all this stuff by everybody. Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. Legacy was there, and now what? Oh, John gets out of it and puts on the STF with the handcuffs in the ring, and Orton taps. That was it. Gets beaten for 20 minutes and then taps him out in 10 seconds. Like, that was Super Cena that everybody absurdly hated, and it just unfortunately was a bad time to be a fan in the sense of, you just, well, Cena wins again. Cena's burying talent. And it happened for years. And he should have gone heel all the way back then. But was Vince wrong? We didn't really have any other top stars to John's level. It took a long time for them to build and put the time in and shape somebody to do so, to replace Cena. You said, Trek says, if he loses, then Cody takes some time off and comes back for SummerSlam where he beats Cena to win. I mean, that could be great too. They've teased Cody and Orton, and they've teased Cody and Punk, and they've teased Cody and quite a few. I mean, it could still happen down the line. It doesn't mean it's necessarily done entirely, but Cena was my hero, you bastard. You're right, Coot. But I think Cena's winning. I think Cena's walking out with the title. We're going to close out WrestleMania with Cena, going ahead and attempting to break that record for good. And he's going to go ahead and just be the new heel champion. He's going to come out on Raw, get booed, and be defending it. I want to know what the hell The Rock put in Cody's hands. We never found that out. We were never told. And Liz says, I can't stand Cena. I will break stuff. I think he might be breaking stuff, Liz. Trust me, I'd like to personally see Cody win. I'd like to see him be Cena, the heel, and walk out and continue to just be this amazing, conquering, viable champion. But I think the story is a bit pointing in the other direction. And I think overall they want to see Cena. They want to see him win and take this title and just go on a whole tear. Triple H did say he has a lot of surprises in store for fans, and to buckle up because we don't know what's coming and we're not going to expect it. So as much as people could have said they predicted or thought Cena was going to turn heel, I don't believe that anyone truly 110% believed that was happening at the Chamber. People didn't even think he was going to win the Chamber necessarily. They thought it was going to be Punk. So he could have put the Rolex in Cody's hands. It could have given him the watch, and of course he would have known what that was right away. We thought it maybe was a bead from the tribal necklace or the Ulafal, something. But we never got confirmation. And just like who pulled the briefcase when Austin tried to, win the match at King of the Ring all those years back against the McMahons. Supposed to be Boss Man, but we never knew. Same thing here. We don't know what Cody's got in his hands. Maybe they'll address it, but at least we found out I was right about the favor. I didn't see how Paul could get Punk into the main event, but I did see Paul being taken away from Roman. I like it. Yeah, Trek thought Drew was winning the chamber. A lot of people did. A lot of people did, and I wouldn't have hated it if it happened, but certainly it would have been interesting to see Drew and Cody Rhodes. I would have thoroughly enjoyed that. But yeah, the heel turn's not been great. No Rock, no Travis Scott. And it took weeks for Cody to ever get his hands on Cena. When shouldn't you rip him apart initially? All he said the first time was, I don't like who you've become. You're an asshole. Where's the real John Cena that I was a fan of and friends with? That's who I want to face. When really I felt like Cody should have been in there ripping the frickin' shirt off of John's back and whipping him instead. You know, he should be wanting to bust his eardrum and blacken his eye. Yeah, I mean, does he give Cena the belt to beat the record? Maybe Travis Scott is not on there because he hurt Cody. That's a great point. People were asking and saying, like, hey, is he punished? Knowing Cody and knowing how, like, Travis didn't set out, it seemed, to intentionally hurt him, like he was just in the moment and not trained. I don't think Cody might be pissed, like, pissed I got hurt, but not pissed at him. Usually he's a pretty professional guy in that regard. So TSS says, I think Cody will eventually get the title back. Him versus heel CM Punk will eventually happen because he said that he was going to stab him in the front, not in the back. Yes, that's a great point. And Montana Zombie said, Travis Scott not invited back. Yeah, no, you damaged our golden goose. Get the fuck out. You trampled enough people to death, Mr. Scott. Yeah, not a great look, and certainly not the best explanation for heel Cena. You know, I genuinely thought that we would get something better as time went on. I was hoping that we would get more than just, and it was a good promo, no doubt, that first one. You know, he berates the young child and takes him down, and that was funny. But to go ahead and be like, you people, and it is right. John, if anybody, could say you people, but it's just so generic and so every heel. I was hoping for a bit more to bite down on, you know, a bit more substance, a bit more story. Trek said, I like the best Mr. Scott. He saved the Enterprise a lot. Yeah, no kidding. But the warp drive is safe, but Cody's ear isn't. Cody without the title doesn't look right. I'm sorry. No, Liz, you're not wrong. It is certainly jarring to think of Cody not being the champion. And he's only been it for a year, but it just felt right for him to hold that title. Eventually, we're going to get heel Cody, too. I mean, that Homelander arc is going to happen eventually, sooner than later. And like I said, it's certainly interesting to see Cena as a heel. I'm taking it away and saying that Cena's walking out with the title, no doubt about it. That's my big guess for Mania. You know, I'm certainly not alone in thinking that, but yeah, I genuinely think that that's what we're going to see. So just going quick again through the night, I think Naomi beats Jade. Grande Americano wins, but then gets his mask taken off. If Solo Sikoa doesn't get involved, I think Jacob Fatu wins. But if Solo does get involved, I'm going to say LA Knight. Just to be safe, though, I'm picking outright bet. I'll pick Fatu. I'm picking the New Day over the War Raiders. I'm picking Charlotte over Tiffany. I'm picking Jey Uso over Gunther, and I'm saying that although I want Punk, I think Seth's walking out and with Paul Heyman. For night 2, starting off with AJ and Paul, I think we get Logan Paul beating AJ here, and then they'll end up having a tag match, AJ plus somebody against Logan and Jake maybe, or something along those lines. But Damian Priest taking on Drew McIntyre in the Sin City Street Fight. I'm saying Drew. We have the IC title fatal 4-way. Braun Breaker defends against Dominic, Penta, and Finn. I'm going with Dominic Mysterio winning the title, inadvertent or not. Women's Tag Team Championship being defended. Liv Morgan and Raquel, the champions, going against Bayley and Lyra. The whole can they coexist, can they get along, can they do business angle, but I think Bayley and Lyra fall apart, and it ends up being where the tag champs retain. Then we have the triple threat. That's my bathroom break. No, I genuinely, I love Rhea. I'm big into EO. Bianca's not bad in the ring. It's her character that I've had problems with. But all in all, I said it before, you know, it depends on what happens with the story with Jade, Naomi, Bianca. But all in all, I think EO's going to retain. And then, of course, Cody defending his WWE Undisputed Championship against John Cena. John Cena's walking out with the title. That's it for Mania. Oof, hell of a card, that's for certain. I don't know if we get any more matches. I don't think that we might. I mean, people are saying we might get one more, possibly. Seems like, you know, we already know the tag titles on SmackDown are being defended this week on Friday, as we went over, so that's out. And both of the women mid-card titles are just not being paid attention to. So, yeah. People agree in the chat. It looks like Io retains. Trek's thinking that Tiffy time reigns supreme. A lot of people, I hope Tiffany wins as well. I'm just thinking, though, if I'm a betting man and that's what this is, my bets for the picks, I think that Charlotte, she gets the belt. As disappointing and as unjust that may be, I think that's what's happening, unfortunately. It is going to be exciting to see, you know, what kind of entrances, performances, what the stage looks like. I mean, we've got a lot going forward. People are talking about, oh, will Cody reference Brock? Is he coming back? Apparently, no. There's no word on Lesnar making a return. That's pretty much it for that. So we'll see what happens going forward. We mentioned Alexa Bliss as well. It seems like they're holding off on her return and the Wyatt Six coming in together on the Friday after Mania. So they'll be there for that SmackDown, hopefully. But all in all, it's going to be a hell of a week. That's for sure. We're going to be live tomorrow after Raw for the Raw After Mania show. Then we're going to be live on Tuesday for Into Somewhere Weekly and for NXT. We're going to be reviewing their Go Home show. Then Wednesday, we'll be putting up on Spaz's YouTube channel and info in the description box down below for that, as well as Conor's info too. We'll be putting up the State of Wrestling, where we're going to give you our in-depth WWE NXT stand and deliver matches, predictions right up there. There we go. And then on Thursday, we'll be live for the TNA Unbreakable pay-per-view. That's going to be a blast. Friday, we'll see what's going on during the day. It looks to be kind of an if day, but Saturday morning, I'll be live in the afternoon, actually, for the NXT Stand and Deliver review. Saturday night, we'll have WrestleMania Night 1. And then, of course, the next morning, we're going to be having a nice little cup of coffee review stream in the morning, going over all the news and the latest what's happenings for Mania Night 2 and anything else that's going on. Check in on AEW, see how they're doing with spring break-in over there, or spring breakthrough. And then, of course, that night, that Sunday, the 20th of April, we have WrestleMania Night 2. We'll be live after that with some special guests as well. And then we'll be live for the Raw After Mania and the NXT After Mania. So you're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button on YouTube and hit that bell so you're alerted for when we go live. Hit the like button. Please, it helps out the stream a ton. If you're on Twitch or if you're on Rumble right now, shout out to you awesome people. Make sure you give me a follow over there. It's great seeing all the success that we've had lately. 2 Sundays ago, I was at, honestly, 1,400 subscribers, and now I've hit over 2,800 in about 10 days' time, which is shocking and humbling. So right now I'm at 2,872. I was under 2,800 last night. So wow, about to hit 3K for the week. That was my goal for Mania, and we're crushing it. So thank you all so much for subscribing and for interacting and all you do. I hope you all stay sexy. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you live tomorrow for the Raw review. You can find me on Twitter at Countdown Ended. You can find me on Rumble and on Twitch at Countdown Ended. On here, you're watching Jake Countdown Ended DeMarco. Make sure you check out Conor, formerly known as OKFabe. You can find his info and Spaz's info in the description box down below. Conor's at SuperNerdCM613 on Twitter and on YouTube. And you can find Spaz at Spaz Phoenix Podcast on everywhere podcasts are found. And of course, I'm Jake. I hope you all have a great day. Stay sexy. And I'll see you tomorrow for the Raw review. Take care, guys.